Morning, everybody. I'm going to be bringing my lesson to y'all this morning, coming from Matthew chapter 16, right before the crucifixion. Jesus is meeting with the disciples. And beginning in verse 23, it says, "From that time he began to explain to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem, suffer many things at the hands of the elders and the chief priests, teachers of the law. He must be killed, and on the third day raised to life." Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, "Never, Lord, this shall never happen to you." Jesus turned to him and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me. You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns." "Get behind me, Satan" is a very popular verse that we use a lot, and I want us to really look into it and dive into it and be able to take away four things from it. The first thing is rather obvious. It's Jesus describing to his disciples what's going to take place. And it's something unprecedented that they're going to take me, they're going to beat me, they're going to kill me. And it seems as though the disciples get hung up right there and they never finish hearing the good news, but it's okay, I'm going to rise again on the third day. And that leads us to number two, which is Peter rebuking Jesus. Now he does so privately. He pulls Jesus aside and he was like, "Dude, don't say that. That's never going to happen to you. I fully believe that you are God. I don't want you to suffer and to die." And that's where we see Peter considering, as it says there, the human concerns. He's not thinking about things of God. And then that brings us to our third response, where Jesus says those words, "Get behind me, Satan." Now, that's a pretty cold-hearted thing to call Peter a devil, the devil. Well, he's actually not. He's talking to Satan, because Peter had unknowingly come into agreement with Satan. Because, as we have stated before, if it's not God's agenda, then it's Satan's agenda. There's no other player in the game. And even though God can use the bad things that he allows Satan to do for his glory, there are two very separate agendas. Satan's is to steal, kill, and destroy. God's is to show love, to save, and to redeem. And that is what Jesus is saying to Peter here, as he had unknowingly come into agreement with Satan. And he's telling him, you don't have in mind the things of God. So get behind me. Just hush. Stop talking. You don't realize what you're talking about. Now, I'm sure Peter's concern was genuine because he loved Jesus. He didn't want to see him go through this. But however, any human concern that does not line up with the concerns of God, therefore line up with the concerns of Satan. And that's what Jesus saw here. And that leads us to the fourth and the final point, which is the stumbling block, where Jesus told him point blank, "You are a stumbling block to me. You are tripping me up. You are slowing me down." Here we see the full deity of Jesus Christ, 100% God, but we also see him as 100% man. And since he was 100% man, he understood the great agony and the suffering of the cross that awaited him in the next few hours. And he knew that he was about to endure that, and we have to believe that it was weighing on him heavily at that point in time because he was human. So in that moment, the thing that he didn't need was someone, especially someone that he loved, telling him, "Oh, it's never going to happen." That's not what he needed to hear right there. And that's when he said those words that you do not have in mind the concerns of God, but the concerns of man. You are trying to save me from pain, but you have no idea what this pain is going to bring about. Peter was speaking to his humanity, and therefore he had become a stumbling block to Jesus. We know that Jesus would pray in the garden later in the evening, that there was any other way to let that happen. But with Peter telling him that this can't happen, it was almost as if he was feeding the part of Jesus that was agonizing over what was about to happen. And he didn't need to hear that. So that's why Jesus said those words, "Get behind me, Satan." He didn't say, get behind me, Peter. He recognized the author of Peter's thoughts. Get behind me. You're a stumbling block. I don't need these kind of thoughts and words right now. You don't fully grasp what's about to take place, and I don't need you reminding me of the agony that I'm fixing to go through. But with the mind of God, with the concepts, you will soon understand. You will soon be okay. So the next time that we read through Matthew 16, I hope we have a greater understanding of what "get behind me, Satan" truly means. Thank y'all. God bless.